Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse. It's on September 21. It's at 29 degrees of Virgo. Now, 29 is a critical degree, and this is a harvest eclipse, so that makes it particularly intense. So let's talk about it. So this eclipse and the eclipse we had earlier in September are the exact same eclipses that we had in September 2006. So think back to 2006, what was going on? What were the obstacles and challenges? What were the opportunities that were happening? Because those are things that could be happening again this time. And by the way, I do readings so we can look at your chart and look at specifically what's ahead for you. There's a link in the description. So, of course, eclipses bring big change, and that affects the world. And the theme of the eclipse, which is based on the sign of the eclipse, and in this case, the degree of the eclipse, can give us a lot of information about things that could go on in the world. Now, a lot of these things are happening already. They are just reaching a very noticeable and critical stage. But what's more important is that we can derive information for our own lives from what's going on with this eclipse and in the world. So a Virgo eclipse is always about health and well-being. And so during this time, we may see some big news stories about what is going on in the world when it comes to health, disease, infections, just general well-being of people. And what we need to think about for ourselves is, how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of our bodies? Because this 29-degree eclipse says that if there are things that you know you need to be doing and you're not doing them, now is the time to start, because the energy here is really loud. It's like a megaphone saying, take care of yourself. A Virgo eclipse is about agriculture and the food supply, and so oftentimes with the Virgo eclipse, we are going to see rising food costs or even shortages. And again, you may have already been experiencing some of this, but this is also that now it becomes more extreme. Now it becomes more noticeable. And the message for us as individuals is, how can we become more self-sufficient? Now, in a society, it's very hard to be 100% self-sufficient, but we can learn to cook at home, keep a well-stocked pantry, to connect with local restaurant owners or local farmers and support what they're doing in our communities. A Virgo eclipse also talks about the people in general, the condition of the population, and so that can lead to some, expressing and civil unrest, and we are seeing that again already. And so it's very important to express our opinions and to be out in the world saying our truth. But this is also a reminder that in our own lives, we need to look at what's not working and make some changes to figure out, what we're doing that is something that we would normally rebel against. And so then we say to ourselves, okay, this is something that has to change. Also, a Virgo eclipse is about how large companies and the government itself just works on a daily basis. And so it's quite likely that we're going to hear a lot more about jobs, how many jobs are being created, or how few are being created, layoffs and things like that. And so that reminds us, that bigger picture reminds us to take a look at how we're doing our daily lives and what we need to subtract from our daily lives, what we need to add to our daily lives to make it better, to put ourselves more on the path that we want to be on. And that might involve, meditation or journaling. That might involve getting into the community, meeting your neighbors, and connecting with people. Now, this eclipse affects those people who are born between the 14th of the month and the 27th of the month. I'm going to put the specific dates on the screen, and that means that your sun is getting hit by this eclipse. Now, of course, a conjunction, a square, or an opposition would be the strongest hit, but even a semi-sextile is going to affect you. And so this hit to your sun means that some aspect of your identity is shifting. That is that you are deciding to leave an old part of you behind and embrace something new. Additionally, it's very important to check the planets and as well as a couple of important points, and that would be the ascendant and the midheaven. Those in particular could affect your job, your living arrangement, your relationship. And so look for any planets or points that are between 25 degrees and 29 degrees, or between 0 and 4 degrees. All of those indicate a hit. Of course, personal planets and the moon are going to be a stronger hit. Some of the outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are going to be more generational, so people around your age will be experiencing a similar thing. And I also wanted to mention that if you have anything at early Libra, so that's 0 from 4 degrees, that's actually a conjunction with that eclipse, with this eclipse at 29 Virgo. So that's often missed because of the change of signs, but this is a very potent hit. Now, eclipses allow us an opportunity to see our situation very honestly and make some changes. And this can be something you're quite conscious of, that you've been saying to yourself, I need to change this, or you're already in motion towards it. It also can bring a kind of, oh, the emperor has no clothes type of experience where we say, I didn't realize that I've been fooling myself. I didn't realize that I was not paying attention to this as much as I was. And so then it's time to get real. And so either of those things can help us move forward. Okay, Aquarius, the purpose for an eclipse is to create a change, and that's okay with you because Aquarius rules change. So what the change here is the realization that you can't do everything yourself, and that flies in the face of the Aquarian self-reliant, I can do everything. And so that's where you're getting a little bit of a pushback, maybe internal pushback, where you need to ask someone a favor, you need to get some help from someone, you maybe need to hire somebody or get some expert advice. There's something here that says it's time to say, I can't do this all myself. Now, with the Mars at a critical degree, it's possible that this is something fairly high profile, that this is not something you can basically keep under wraps. So, and that can also make you feel like, oh, I wish I could do this myself. So, but it's possible you have to ask someone in authority, like a supervisor or somebody like that, for help, or at least permission to go get help. And again, this could open up so many opportunities for you. So being self-sufficient is wonderful. And self-reliant, wonderful. But it's also, we live in a world where it's very difficult to do everything yourself. And so here comes the universe bringing you to a point where it's necessary for you to ask. And a way that you can uncover more information about this eclipse is through an astrology reading. Astrology readings are very helpful. They give you information about yourself, they can uncover your hidden talents and abilities, and they can also give you a view of what's ahead. So I do readings, there's a link in the description. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a very nice trine with Uranus, and of course it's also making a trine with Pluto, so you have grand trine energy. That is very fortunate energy. It's unfortunate that it's during a solar eclipse, because meeting someone on a solar eclipse means you're going to have a pretty hectic or dramatic relationship, and the energy here says that there could be enormous physical chemistry between you and the other person, and that can bring a very physical relationship on, but to make it last maybe is more difficult. You know, you always picture in the movies where, you know, the guy and girl, they fall in love because they're, you know, running from bad guys. But what happens then when everything is quiet and they're just, you know, sitting at home watching TV? Do they have that same connection? So that's kind of what's going on here. So if you are looking for a love relationship, you could find someone and fireworks could happen, but also, you know, sparks can fly and and not some positive sense too. And then when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun is making a trine to Uranus. That it is an out of sign trine, and so the two of you are coming together, bringing the uniqueness that you each have. And so that's kind of like, when two people come together and, like one brings pie and the other brings cards. You can't mix those two things, but you can play cards and eat pie. So it's that sort of thing that's going on between the two of you. You're aware of your uniqueness. You're aware what the other person brings to the table, and that can bring more harmony and just joy to the relationship in general. So an out of sign trine like this is really useful now because eclipse energy can be really stressful. And so if your partner's stressed, it's very possible that you'll be able to do something to help relieve the stress that they're feeling, even though it wasn't exactly what they were expecting or asked for. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Neptune, which is retrograde and going as fast as Neptune can go, which is not very fast, back into Pisces, where it feels very at home and very comfortable. That's still going to be a little bit of time. The one I wanted to point out was your co-ruler, Jupiter. That planet is very interesting in this chart because Jupiter is making no aspects whatsoever. An unaspected planet is very powerful, but it's a bit of a rogue. It's going to do whatever it wants, whenever it wants. And so the energy for money for you is you might wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to do that marketing campaign. Today I'm going to make that phone call. I'm going to send my resume right now. Those impulses could lead to something that is quite extraordinary. So this isn't so much about taking risks. This is just doing something that's unexpected, out of the box, or innovative. And when you do that, then some amazing things can happen. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, Mercury is making an opposition with Neptune. The energy here is pretty intense because you have this eclipse in a money area. So there could be some ups and downs going on. The opposition to Neptune does indicate that there is you coming together with someone else and figuring things out. So that might mean meeting with your broker or your banker or the people you do marketing with to get more information and find, how you can negotiate for what it is that you want so that they get what they want and you get what you want, etc. So that opposition energy can be very helpful. You always want an aspect, but because the eclipse is involved, this could be a bit of a roller coaster ride. So if you invest in a buy and hold, then just keep holding, but if you're a swing trader, well, actually, if you're a swing trader, you probably have a good time. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, of course, Jupiter, being the rogue, is not making an aspect with Neptune because Jupiter's not talking to anybody. So the energy here is it may not be the right time to be asking. And if you're going to be thinking about this, this is just the time to plant a seed. The smallest little seed, like, telling your boss, yeah, in a month, let's talk. Or even better, start to gather the information for your case for making more money. I've accomplished this and I was able to save the company this much money and so forth. So this energy is going to line up very differently pretty soon. So because, Jupiter is going forward and then it's going to go backwards. So you're going to have real opportunities coming up. But right now, and it's an eclipse, so right now it's probably not the best time to be trying to push in this direction. So if you were given the chance to completely change one part of your life, what would it be? Take a moment and think about this, because oftentimes that answer will tell you where the eclipse is falling in your chart. And so when we have an eclipse, especially an eclipse that affects the sun in the chart, what gets affected is how you describe yourself and to others. Then, less than a month later, Venus opposes the eclipse degree, and that happens on October 1st. And that's going to be some sort of maybe announcement about commerce, about prices, about goods, because Venus rules the Taurus energy, which is the stuff that we want to have. Now, probably the 410 hit is considered one of the most stressful because it is about home and career. And of course, you can mitigate a lot of this energy by leaning in and making as many changes as you can in those areas.